electric cars will actually create more commonality as well.
Yeah.
Because you're not different. There are less things to differentiate on. You haven't got a V8 engine or a straight six engine or an exhaust note or whatever, a manual,
you don't have a manual or an
auto, and all of those things that you just have a car, as you say. To a certain extent, it is an iPhone with wheels, and so the ability to differentiate. They all have a similar driving characteristic. You get maximum torque from get-go. They all accelerate very fast, and at some point they'll stop accelerating, depending on sort of how big the motor is and sort of the output of the battery, and they'll all run out.
Surely that will erode brand loyalty over time. What are we associating with brand? Is it the characteristics of the car? Something about quality? Well, we've said that doesn't matter. So characters that doesn't relate anymore because they're all electric. So what are we? What's the brand? Attractive.
Well, a long time ago, somebody much cleverer than me said it's a very simple equation: brand equals product plus personality. So if the product is very similar, then the thing that differentiates is the personality that you create around that product.
Right.
But it is a combination of both. If the product's rubbish and you have a great sort of personality and you've spent a lot of money creating it, but the product doesn't live up to it, it still won't be successful. So you've got to have both.
Yeah.
It's all very similar. Then the differentiator is in the personality, which can be a whole host of things. It can be the quality of the interaction, be it online or offline. The quality of the customer service, the quality of the environment you go to if you do want to go to a dealership, the quality of the online experience, the ease of getting information, the quality of the app that the manufacturer has, or the way that the finance company within
But none of those things are the vehicle that you've just
none of them are the vehicle.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, isn't that a huge transformation in the market over a fairly short period of time, isn't it? I think the finance product is becoming a differentiator. I think it could be more sticky than most of the other variables that you've been referring to. It could be more sticky because once all of the variables become neutralized, and that's the way it appears to be going. So I can understand why manufacturers prefer an agency arrangement. I can understand that. They want to project themselves all the way through to the customer. I can get that. If they can do that, then they have a better chance of ensuring the personality is conveyed as well, I suppose. It just seems to me there are fewer ways of differentiating, and perhaps the finance product might be it, the whole digital experience might be it. I mean, do cars even need servicing? The electric cars don't, there's nothing moving.
But that's a much bigger question about how quickly will the cost of electric cars come down. On the assumption that yes, come 2030, no new petrol and diesel cars will be allowed to be sold in the UK. Everyone will have to buy either a hybrid or a full electric car from 2035, fully electric. How quickly are the typical costs of those cars going to come down? And at the moment, those curves are getting pushed out to a later and later date in terms of when the cost curve of an electric car versus an internal combustion engine car. Originally, I think Deloitte was saying this year they were going to be price equality in terms of production costs. They're now saying 2027. Who knows? It might be some time after that. Yes, the affordability of electric cars to average consumers is a big challenge and may eventually encourage or force governments to change their policy. That date might slip, depending on where we get to with things like charging infrastructure, the cost of cars and the affordability of cars. Because cars, we talked earlier about the cost of living crisis, cars have been at the forefront of that in terms of both new car and used car prices have gone up 20 to 30%. In the last few years.
I don't envisage a time where the electric car will be affordable to the masses ever. I just don't. I think they're so expensive. It's partly down to the finance companies. It's the residual that's put on it. But it was in the news the other day. The comparable cost of an e-Golf and the e-Golf was twice the price on a monthly basis, which is how most people pay for their car now.
Mass car ownership's a used car proposition. Again, somebody told me a long time ago. So we don't quite know what's going to happen to residual values of used electric. And that's a big unknown and a big risk for consumers as well in terms of the technology is still relatively new. How long is a battery, what is the real lifespan of a battery to give proper usable range? We all know from our phones
Not long.
how quickly it can suddenly suck away the power from the battery.
Yeah.
That's a bit of an unknown. Obviously manufacturers have generally put sort of 6-7 year warranties on their batteries, which gives some sort of guarantee on it. And we saw very recently the price reduction of new cars by Tesla, sort of globally, because of the pressure largely that's coming on from Chinese manufacturers. And that's the only way that I think in the UK we'll see mass electric car ownership in the short term is going to be through a lot of new entrants coming in from China.